Hello and welcome to a new video. Welcome if you're new here. Hi, I'm Andrea. I'm a full-time university writing instructor and a part-time content creator and indie author. Welcome back if you're one of my lovely returning friends. It is great to have you all here. Welcome to a bonus video. Welcome to a discussion about author platforms, what they are, why they're important, why it doesn't have to mean social media, and also what I would do if I was an author just starting out. How would I start out my author platform? So if all of that sounds good, keep watching. Okay, so what is an author platform? If you are an aspiring indie author or an aspiring traditionally published author, your author platform is going to be important. This is one of those topics that really transcends publishing path. It's not something that's relevant only to one publishing path or the other. No matter how you plan or hope to publish your books, you are going to need to build an author platform. And starting to build that before you publish your first book or before you get your book deal can be really helpful. So it's one of those things where it's never too soon to start any of these things. But I feel like when we talk about author platforms, it can feel a little bit vague. What exactly do we mean by that? And you'll see slightly different definitions depending on who you're talking to. So for the purposes of this video, how I am defining an author platform is a collection of spaces that you use to reach out and connect with your readers or potential readers, and for them to connect with you and your books. It's a way for you to market and promote your books and yourself as an author. So this is going to include a range of things. For me personally, my personal opinion, I think your website is one of the most important kind of central aspects of your author platform because it's the one thing that you will have complete control over. Very closely next to that, or following that, if not even tied with that, is your email newsletter. An email list is going to be crucial to your author platform because, again, that is information that you then own and can take with you from one email platform to another. Also included in your author platform are going to be things like social media. Social media, the bane of most authors' existences. Most authors I speak to do not like social media. It is kind of viewed as a necessary evil. It is where the majority of our readers are hanging out, so it is where we need to hang out, but it can be a huge time suck, and it can also be a huge mental suck, if that's the right way to phrase it. It can really kind of mess with our mental health and the way that we view our books, the way we view ourselves as authors. Social media opens the doors to the comparison trap, comparing ourselves to other authors, other books, but it can also be really beneficial. It can help you connect with other authors in your genre to do some cross promotion, can help you connect with your readers. So there are definite pros and cons to social media, but I would say social media is a really important part of your overall author platform. I think certain physical spaces, you could also argue, could be part of your author platform. If there is a book fair or craft fair or festival or conference or convention or something that you go to regularly, that you book a table at regularly to sell your books, then I would say that that's part of it. If readers know that every year at that convention or at that festival they can find you at a table, then I would say that's part of your author platform. So it doesn't have to just be digital online spaces. You could make an argument for certain physical in-person spaces. So how/where to start your author platform. We're going to talk about this again a little bit towards the end, but just at the front here, for anyone who doesn't want to watch beyond 10 minutes of me rambling about this, I would say start small, and I think the most important things are a website and an email newsletter list. And then beyond that, if you want to get into social media, the thing to think about is which social media platforms are your readers going to be on. So let's talk about social media. Do you have to use social media as an author? It depends. I would say, generally speaking, yes. But it depends. It depends on what kind of books you write. It depends on your access to readers who read your books. If there are physical spaces that you can go and be building your newsletter and be directing traffic back to your website and capturing emails and contact information for your readers, and if there are places that you can go to market and sell your books that are not social media, then awesome. I know for me as a romance writer, the majority of my readers are going to be hanging out on social media. So social media is where I unfortunately need to be. Now there are some apps and social media platforms that I do genuinely enjoy, and so that is where I focus the majority of my attention and time. But social media is kind of a necessary evil if you want to look at it that way. I do think it's important to try to find certain social media platforms that you do enjoy so that it doesn't feel like a necessary evil, so that at worst it just feels like a neutral experience, if not, hopefully, at best, a positive experience. But social media is going to most likely be necessary for the majority of authors. That being said, it doesn't have to be your main focus, and you definitely don't have to be on every social media platform out there. I personally am mostly on Instagram and YouTube. I do a little bit with Facebook, and I technically have an X account. I barely use it anymore. I have just started on Blue Sky, and I'm trying to do a little bit more on Blue Sky, and I am not on TikTok at all. I personally don't like TikTok for a variety of reasons, but I think if I was writing in a genre that was more popular on TikTok, I feel like there are certain genres that just do really, really well on BookTok. And if I was writing one of those genres, I'd probably have to consider TikTok a little bit more seriously, but for me, it just hasn't really been worth it. I'd rather put my energy into Instagram and YouTube. I feel like YouTube is my main home for me as an author and for my books, and so this is what I focus my time and energy on. But as much as you do kind of need social media, it is good to not be too dependent on social media. As we have seen just kind of in the past few months, like literally just in 2025, the social media landscape is changing. We're really seeing that. You've got TikTok threatening to be banned. You have people wanting to boycott Meta, which is both Facebook and Instagram. You have Blue Sky popping up and getting really popular. Social media is constantly changing, and it's been that way. I mean, I'm an elder millennial. I remember when everyone was all about MySpace, and then suddenly MySpace wasn't cool anymore and everyone was ditching it to go to Facebook, which I still feel was a big mistake. I've always preferred MySpace to Facebook. Facebook was always boring. You could never like customize your profile on Facebook the way you could on MySpace. Let me know if any of you remember the MySpace days. So the social media landscape is constantly changing, and I think it's very easy for some authors to get stuck into feeling like they need to put all their eggs in one basket. They grow huge followings on TikTok, on Instagram. They do really well on one particular platform. That's what they focus on. They never really create their own website. They don't have their own email newsletter. And so the thought then of TikTok being banned or people starting to boycott or delete their Meta accounts, including Instagram, is a really scary thing and is a potential threat for authors. It's something that I've struggled with as both an author and as a consumer and user of social media. How do I really feel? Like I don't really like a lot of what has been happening on Instagram and Facebook. Facebook I've not really enjoyed for years, and as I've just said, I never wanted to join Facebook in the beginning. But I did really love Instagram in the beginning, and the things that I loved about Instagram when it first started have all kind of changed as Meta bought out Instagram and then started doing a lot of changes and updates and things like that. It's just, the algorithm has really changed. Like algorithms and the development of algorithms for social media have really changed how we as consumers use social media. And so those algorithms can be really beneficial from a sales and marketing perspective, but they can really, I think, diminish the user experience as a user of the app and as a consumer of content on the app. And so I have my own personal thoughts and struggles with being on some of these apps, but I also know that that's where the majority of my readers are. And until something new pops up that kind of truly replaces Instagram or Facebook or whatever and gives the existing apps a true run for their money in terms of competition, like Blue Sky is kind of trying to do that, but they're not there yet. And so I can't just delete my Instagram account and go all in on Blue Sky. And I don't know that I would even then, because eventually Blue Sky is not going to be the popular app anymore and something else will come along. So social media is constantly changing. And so while it is useful and beneficial, you shouldn't be going all in on any one social media app, because they all have their issues, and because the lifespan of a social media app is not that long, and is hopefully not as long as your lifespan as an author will be. So you really need to be focusing on anchoring your author platform around something that you do have ownership and control over, like your own website. So website and email newsletters are to me, and a lot of people are going to agree with me on this and back me up, and if you look up advice on author platforms, almost anyone who talks about this topic is going to tell you that having your own website and having your own author newsletter is going to be the most important thing. That should always be the kind of foundation that your author platform is grown on, the thing that really anchors everything into one spot and is kind of the center of your whole like author ecosystem and all the different social media apps and things like that that you use. So why is this important? As we've seen, apps get banned, apps get boycotted, your account can get deleted or banned, your account can get hacked, and you can lose access to all of your content, and you can then also lose access to all of your followers. When you own your own newsletter list, you have that information. As long as someone is opting into your newsletter, you are able to have their email address, and you are able to then take that list from one email provider to another. So let's say you start out on MailerLite and then you decide you want to move over to MailChimp. You can take your list and export it from MailerLite and import it into MailChimp. If you then decide MailChimp's not working for me anymore, I want to move to Flowdesk, you can export your list and whoever is currently on your list while you're at MailChimp and import that into Flowdesk. As people opt out, and people will unsubscribe from your list, you then no longer have access to their email address, and you can't take an old list full of people who have unsubscribed and resubscribe them and import them all into a new provider. So email lists are really, really important because that is information that you get to keep. As long as someone is opting into your list, you can take that list to any other service provider, and that is really, really valuable. Your website is also really important because you get to decide what goes on your website. So I think some authors try to avoid doing a website. Websites can feel really big and scary. They can feel really difficult to do. They can be expensive. If you're trying to do everything completely free, most websites are going to come with a cost. Free websites, you can build free websites. You are going to be limited, and the username, the domain name it's going to have the name of the host in your website. So like my original blog that I used to write was researchandramblings.blogspot.com. It wasn't just researchandramblings.com. I did not own that domain. And so it's fine if that's truly what you have to do. I do think that looks a little bit less professional. So having yourname.com as your author website is always going to be the thing that gives you the most kind of credibility and legitimacy. And you can do landing pages through whatever email service provider you do, but then if you decide to leave MailerLite or MailChimp or Flowdesk or whoever and go somewhere else, you wouldn't be able to take that landing page with you, and so then your landing page would have to change. So that's why very early on, I already had a website that I was paying for when I was starting my, what at the time was going to be a freelance copywriting business. I already had AndreaSeverson.com. I've just now made that be my author website. But if I was starting from scratch, I would definitely be starting with a yourname.com author website. I just think that is the best thing to do from the beginning. If you do one thing, it should be that. Other people can fight me on that. Other people can argue with me on that, but it's your website. You own it. You own that domain name. As long as you continue to pay to renew that domain name, it's yours. My website is my website. So your website is a space that you own, that you get to curate, you get to make it be what you want to be. You can control what information you put up there for your readers. And if you're optimizing it for SEO, then you could be getting random traffic if people are searching for things related to your book. Having a blog post, having a blog on your website, doing content marketing. This is the other thing, like this is a whole other topic of a video that I'm trying to stay relatively on topic here, but content marketing is a whole separate video topic. And you can do content marketing with a blog on your website, and that then might mean you don't need to do social media. So there's social media marketing and there's content marketing. These are two different things. We're not going to dive into this in this video, but that is one way that your website can kind of function. So the audience that you grow on your newsletter and the audience you grow on your website, that is your audience. That is a space that your audience knows they can always come back to. And in terms of the newsletter, those are emails that you know you can take with you even if you decide to leave your current email service provider. It gives you more freedom and more control over your audience and over ownership of that audience then, and I don't mean that in a weird way. I don't own my audience. My audience, my readers are lovely, lovely people who support my books. I don't own them, but I feel like my website and my email newsletter gives me uninterrupted access to them in a way that social media, I have no control over the algorithm on YouTube or on Instagram or on anything else. I can post a reel or a picture of my books on Instagram, or I can post a picture on Blue Sky or whatever. I can post content, I can make a video, a vlog here on YouTube, but I have no control if any of you will actually see it, because the algorithm controls that. Even if you are subscribed to my channel, unless you are the type of YouTube viewer who goes through your subscription feed and watches videos from there, if you are only ever just watching whatever is showing up on your top recommended page when you first log into YouTube, I have no control if you're actually going to see my videos. None at all. And that's really sad for me, because I put a lot of energy and time into these videos, and I put a lot of energy and time and creativity into my Instagram reels and my pictures and the things that I post on Instagram and Blue Sky, and then those things are shared to things like Facebook. But I do put a lot of energy into the social media content that I create, but I have no control over if you will actually see it. But if I send an email out, I have a much better chance that you will find it at some point in your email inbox, because there's no algorithm controlling your email inbox. It's just the order of when things hit your inbox. So as long as you have saved my email address so that it doesn't go to your spam folder, you're probably going to see my email. Whether you choose to open it or not is up to you, but I'd rather you be making that choice than some ambiguous algorithm that I have no control over. So yeah, content you own, platforms you own are going to be the most important things, and that should be what serves as the foundation for your author platform. So what is my author platform? What constitutes my author platform, and what can you maybe learn from me and from my own experiences? Going back to my notes here, because I feel like it's gotten somewhat extensive. And I'm also going to kind of talk about how much time I spend on each. YouTube is probably the biggest and the one I spend the most time on. It's also the one I have the most people following. I'm very fortunate to now have more than 5,000 people subscribed to this channel. That does not mean I have 5,000 people buying my books. I wish my author career would be very, very different if that was the case. And this is the other thing to keep in mind as an author. As you are growing your platform, the number of subscribers or followers or people that you have on all of these different accounts does not directly equate to how many people are going to buy your book. Like, it's not even like half of my YouTube subscribers are buying my books. It is a tiny, tiny, tiny percentage of my YouTube viewers who are buying my books. But that percentage grows every year. And so YouTube is a really important part. YouTube is something I would do even if I wasn't an author. So I don't mind the amount of time I put into these videos. And obviously a video like this that is geared towards other authors, this is not going to sell books for me, because other authors are not my intent. Like, that's not who I'm targeting my books to. Other authors like my books, and I've been lucky to have other authors read my books, but starting a YouTube channel that is geared towards other authors is not going to sell you books. I guess just going on from that, we can talk just really quickly. Should you start YouTube as an author? Should you start YouTube just to sell books as an author? No. I'm going to say no to that. Should you start YouTube because you genuinely have an interest in making video content and growing an audience and a community organically through that video content? If you have a genuine interest in YouTube as a platform and being a YouTube content creator and want to be part of this kind of creator community, absolutely join YouTube. Joining YouTube has been one of the best things I have ever done in my entire life. And it's not because of how many books I'm selling, because I'm not selling that many books through YouTube. It is where I sell the majority of my books, but it's not made me like a best-selling author. Not even close. I don't do YouTube to sell books. I do YouTube because I love doing YouTube. And I just happen to sell a fair amount of books through people finding my YouTube channel. But it's why I don't really consider myself an authortube channel. I will make videos related to author type content. I document my experience as a writer. I do love doing writing and publishing advice videos and videos like this one that are geared towards other authors. But this is not the main thing I like to make content around, and I don't think I would still be doing YouTube all these years if I had stuck to a really specific niche. I started off doing PhD content when I was a PhD student. Then I tried doing like freelance related content when I was trying to do a freelance copywriting business, realized that I didn't want to do copywriting, and I also didn't really want to do copywriting advice videos. So there was like a period of, I'd say about a year post PhD graduation before I started really getting into like making the decision to be an indie author. I graduated in May of 2018, and I think it was like in June or July, I think it was July of 2019 that I announced I was going to be publishing my first book. And so when I made that decision, I started vlogging a lot of my experiences of writing that, of editing that book and preparing that book for publication, and then starting to write the next book. And I've documented the process of working on all my books ever since. So, but I consider myself to be more of a daily vlogger. I don't post every day, but I vlog a couple days a week, or I vlog a few days in one vlog, but like I vlog my life and I share my life. And part of my life is being an indie author. Part of my life is also being a content creator and being a full-time writing instructor. I'm also a single woman in my 40s, so I'm doing a lot of content these days about like life in my 40s. And I have had people follow me through all of those videos, or find me through those videos and follow me, and I like to think they find me through very specific videos, but then they stay to just follow me in my life. And I'm very privileged. I feel like I'm very fortunate that it's worked out that way, that I've grown this amazing community of people who just have a genuine interest in my life and relate to me in some aspect or another, like either through my experience with having a chronic illness, or through my experience of being a writing instructor and like an academic, or through my experience of being a writer, or just through a shared love of books. And so by having a more diverse audience that's not just following me for author related content, a lot of my viewers are potential readers, because I'm not just marketing my books to other authors. So should you do YouTube as an author? It really depends. YouTube takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of energy. It can be very slow, painfully slow to grow an audience. You can do everything right and everything that YouTube tells you should do and everything that YouTube gurus who tell you like how to grow a YouTube channel, you can follow all of their advice and still not grow your channel. Because even when you're doing everything right and you're doing everything that you think the algorithm is going to want, there's still also going to be a certain amount of that it factor. And do you have it? And some people do and some people don't. And this is something that I have definitely struggled with. I am coming up on my 9th anniversary, my 9th birthday of being on YouTube, my 9th birthday for my channel. It has been 9 long years. I think it took me 3 years, maybe even more, to get to 1,000 subscribers. And it has taken me 9 years to get to 5,000. And there are times where it feels like your channel will grow fast, and then other times where it feels like someone has just slammed on the brakes and your channel stops growing. I have had time where it felt like I was going backwards, where instead of, you know, the number of subscribers I have gained in 28 days, it has been a negative number, where I have not gained any new subscribers in a month. I have only lost subscribers. So YouTube is something that I don't think anyone should do for the fame, for the fortune, to sell books, for anything like that. You do it because you love YouTube and you want to be part of this community. Anything that happens out of it is bonus. That is how I view my YouTube channel. I would do this, I've said this a million times, I would continue doing YouTube even if only my mom watched. Like, even if all but like 10 of my most loyal regular viewers stayed subscribed and everyone else ditched me, I'd still do YouTube, because this is the most consistent I have been with keeping any sort of record or diary of my life. So I genuinely love making these videos. It is worth it for me to do it even if it doesn't sell me books. I'm just lucky that it does sell me some books. So yeah, that's my answer to the whole should you do YouTube as an author question. So YouTube is a huge part of my author platform. My newsletter is probably the next thing that I put the most effort into. I write a newsletter pretty much every week. I do take the occasional week off. I took last week off because it was spring break, and I think I took a week off at the very end of December, very beginning of January, something like that, for a holiday break. But generally I put out one email every week. Some of those are shorter and just have links to my YouTube videos for that week. Others of them are longer, but I definitely use it to share my book launch updates when a book is going to be released. If I do Kindle countdown deals and book sales, I share it through there. And yeah, the email list is something I am really trying to grow this year. That is a huge priority for me. So anything that I am posting on social media, I'm ultimately trying to get people back to my website and my newsletter to follow me and subscribe to me there. So it's why I say at the end of most videos, you know, on your way down to the comment section, stop in the description box, you'll find the link to sign up for my email list. And yeah, growing my email list is a huge priority, and that is something that I do spend a fair amount of time on each week. My website is also part of my author platform. I probably spend the least amount of time there, but I need to be spending more, and there's a lot more I need to be doing. My website needs to be just completely overhauled. It needs a bit of a refresh. I want to add a few more pages and add more information on there. I want to make it more of a space for people to go to learn more about me and about my books. The more people that go to my website, the more likely they are to sign up for my newsletter. So my website is the one space that kind of exists online that people can go to and learn more about me without having to sit through a 45-minute vlog or something. So the website, while I don't spend a whole lot of time on it day after day, week after week, it is a really, really important part of my author platform. Then there's social media. So I am currently on Instagram, Facebook, X, and Blue Sky. X, I barely do anything with. I post a link to my vlogs each time they post, and I post a link to my newest book whenever it launches, and that's about it. I do not like X for a lot of reasons. I haven't liked X for a while, back when it was Twitter, like even before it went from Twitter to X. I still, like, Twitter was never really my thing. It was not a place that I felt I really could do much with. I am very visual, so I like Instagram more than I like Facebook or Twitter. I'm also, as you've probably noticed, I talk a lot and I'm not the most concise person. So limiting me to 180 characters, or in the beginning when it was only 90 characters, nope. So Twitter/X was never really my thing, but I had one just to have one. I am actually now considering deleting my X account. I haven't quite decided like when I'm going to delete my X account, but I do think it's going to happen within the next probably few weeks, few months at the most. Facebook I have a Facebook page for myself as an author. I tend to share things from YouTube and Instagram to that page. So anything that I post on Instagram will get shared there, and anytime I post a YouTube video, I put the link there. So there's someone who doesn't spend a whole lot of time on Instagram or YouTube, but they want to see my content, it will get cross-posted there. So I don't really create any new content on Facebook, but I do cross-post content there. I also have a Facebook group for my Across the Pond series. This seemed like a really good idea in the beginning. It is something that I am toying with just deleting or trying to do more with it, but I just feel like I don't know what I would do. I think if I keep it, I might convert it to just a general reader group for all of my books and not just the Across the Pond series. I probably should put a poll up in there to see, but I also don't know, like whenever I do post something on there, it doesn't get that many views. So every now and then a new person will join it, but I still feel like no one's really doing anything with it, and maybe I need to try doing something more frequently and see if that changes things. So we'll see. Let me know if you're watching this and you're one of my readers and you are part of that group. Do you want me to do more with it? Do you spend time on Facebook? I just feel like I don't spend much time on Facebook anymore, so yeah, I don't know. So I do technically have a Facebook page and a Facebook group, but I'm not that active and don't spend that much time on those. What I have recently joined is Blue Sky, and I am giving Blue Sky a chance. The algorithm is definitely different. I am struggling to grow on there. I feel like it's very slow to grow. I don't really know how to grow on Blue Sky, but it has been kind of nice and refreshing to just post whatever I feel like posting over there. So I am cross-posting some things. If I put up a picture on Instagram of my books, I'll put it on there. But I do want to start using Blue Sky a little bit more for just kind of putting random thoughts that I'm thinking of as I'm working, as I'm writing, random bits of, short bits of writing advice and stuff like that. So we'll see. The jury is still very out on Blue Sky, but I'm giving it a chance and seeing if I can make a go of it. Again, I never really got on that well with Twitter, like even before it was X, like even years ago. Never really felt like Twitter was my thing, and Blue Sky is very similar to Twitter/X. So still figuring that out, but I do have it. Things that I would like to add to my author platform. I have been toying with the idea of doing a Patreon account and or a blog/Substack. I would like to get back into blogging, but I'm still trying to figure out, would that be part of my author platform? Would that be something different? Do I want to do that on my website, or do I want to do that on something like Substack, which I could eventually monetize? I'm still toying with all of those things. I'm hoping to be making decisions about that by the end of the semester, beginning of the summer, so that I can be growing that and like generating content for that over the summer. So yeah, it's possible that I might do a Patreon for the readers and a Substack for other authors and writers and kind of differentiate it that way. So we'll see. Stay tuned. So to wrap this video up, if you are starting out and needing to grow your author platform from scratch, where should you start? Start with your website. I do think that's the most important thing. And I think paying to have your own domain name is worth it. So having your author name, so in my case, AndreaJSeverson.com, has been worth every penny. And I don't always make enough to pay that fee each month. Sometimes my book sales and my YouTube channel combined don't don't cover all of my monthly expenses as an author, but it is something that even if I paid 100% out of pocket, it's still worth it. I like having my own website. It is something that I can pivot and tweak it to be whatever I need it to be. There's so much I can do with it. There's so much I can do with it that I'm not currently using it for. So if I wanted to get more of my money's worth out of it, I could. I'm just choosing not to at this point. So I think your website is the most important thing. That should be the kind of foundation of your author platform. Going pretty closely alongside that, though, I think is your email newsletter and building your email list. Having a way of collecting the information of your readers and knowing that you have access to reach your readers when a new book comes out or when you have an update for a sale on your book or something like that is really, really important, because ultimately you have no control over algorithms and social media and things like that. Beyond your website and your email newsletter list, if I was just starting out, I would pick one social media platform. And I would pick the one that you think the majority of your readers are hanging out on. If you're writing a genre that is really, really popular on TikTok, I would get on TikTok. If Instagram is where the majority of your readers are hanging out, I would get on Instagram. If you are writing a nonfiction book for a business audience, I would do a lot of marketing on LinkedIn, and I would probably avoid Instagram and TikTok. Like if you're a nonfiction writer giving business advice, LinkedIn is totally going to be where the majority of your audience is hanging out. They're probably on TikTok and Instagram, but they're probably looking for completely different content on those apps than your book. Pick whichever social media platform you think the majority of your audience is spending the majority of their time on, if that makes sense. So website, newsletter, and one social media app. Don't stretch yourself too thin. Don't start doing everything all at once. Start with the main two of your website and your newsletter, because ultimately every social media app you join should ultimately be driving traffic back to your newsletter list and signing up for your newsletter list, and traffic back to your website to see your books. So to start on social media first and grow an audience there is a little bit backwards. So unless you're someone like me I've been on YouTube for longer than I've had a website and longer than I've been doing writing, that's why this channel is older. But yeah, you need to be starting your own website and your own newsletter email list, because that is going to be what gives you the most control and the most access to your readers. But people aren't going to find your website or your email list if you're not also promoting yourself somewhere else. So that's why I say those two things are the foundation, but social media is the walls and the paint and the curtains and all of that fun stuff. And I think finding a social media app or two that you really enjoy. I love doing YouTube. I do. And I really do enjoy Instagram. I like posting pictures. I like being creative with photography. I like that even though there is a limit to how long your caption can be, it is much longer than on X or on Blue Sky, so I can write long captions if I want to. So Instagram is kind of an extension of YouTube in a way in terms of doing video and photo based content. So I really enjoy making content for YouTube and Instagram, so they don't feel hard or like a chore for me. It definitely felt that way when I had a separate Instagram account for myself as an author. It's why I merged my accounts and kind of just put all my author and book content on my main account that is the older account, and that's at Andrea Jean Severson. It's my full name, not just my middle initial. So yeah, I've struggled with Instagram over the years, but I'm getting to a point where I'm really enjoying it again, despite the algorithm and stuff. I'm just with YouTube and Instagram, I post what I want to post. I've given up on trying to understand the algorithm. I've given up on trying to outsmart the algorithm. I have no control if you are actually going to see any of the things that I post, so I may as well just post what I want to post. And I have been wanting to post a video on author platforms and talking about social media and all of these things. So I hope you've enjoyed this. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate that. Say hi in the comments. Let me know how you're doing. Let me know your thoughts on author platforms. Do you have an author platform as an author? What does your author platform consist of? If you are an author, what are you considering building as your author platform if you are an aspiring author? I think when you are still getting ready to publish your first book, I don't think it's too soon to start building your platforms and start your website, start an email newsletter, email list, start on YouTube or Instagram or TikTok, wherever you're wanting. Document that process. Document the process of writing and editing your first book, and document the process of finding an agent and finding a publishing deal if you're going the traditional route. You know, document all the stages of learning how to be an indie author. I'm so glad that I can look back at all of my videos and I can really see that whole experience that I've gone through of starting my career. And it's now been just over 5 years that I've been publishing as an indie author. So yeah, I don't think it's too soon to start thinking about this and to start growing and building your author platform, even if you're still a year or more away from publishing your first book, especially if you're going the traditional publishing route. I know a lot of agents and publishers, it can really impact their decision. It is not the sole deciding factor from what I've heard. It won't ruin your chances if you don't have an author platform, but I don't think it hurts your chances of getting an agent or a publisher if you already have a built-in audience. So I really don't think it's too soon. So yeah, let me know your thoughts on author platforms and things like that. Or if you're just one of my regular viewers who aren't an author and this is not something you're going to do, just let me know. I guess then the question can be, which element of my author platform do you know me best from, or do you see the most content from me? Are you primarily a YouTube person? Do you follow me a lot on Instagram? Are you subscribed to my newsletter? If you're not, the link is in the description box below. And yeah, we can just chat all of those sorts of things down in the comments. So I will see you all down there. On your way down to the comment box, you can also click to open the description box and subscribe to my newsletter. You can click that like button and like this video. You can also click the subscribe button and subscribe to this YouTube channel if you are not already. And I would greatly appreciate any and all of those things. So yeah, thank you very much for watching this video, and I will see you all very soon in the next one. Bye!